Okay, is it cold enough for you today? Break out the crystal balls because we have some predictions to make. I'm Charlie Sykes. Sunday Insight starts right now. Good morning and welcome to Sunday Insight. Now, this is a tricky business because, let's be honest, nobody really saw a lot of what happened in 2013 coming. The president's falling poll numbers, the record high stock market, the return of terrorist attacks in Boston, the NSA scandal, the IRS scandal, and, of course, the botched Obamacare rollout. And 2014 promises to be an even wilder ride. Obamacare became a reality for millions of Americans, or at least the ones not exempted. And on top of that, an election for governor, an open race for Wisconsin Attorney General, control of the United States Senate, the House of Representatives, and the state legislature all in play. And this morning, our pundits will test their fortune-telling skills. Now, let's start with the top of the ticket, at least locally. In 2012, Governor Scott Walker became the first sitting governor in the country to survive a recall effort. Despite a massive push to oust him, Walker ended up winning that election by an even wider margin than his original 2010 victory. But the Democrats and their union allies aren't done yet. With the blessing of the state Democrat Party, Madison School Board member Mary Burke jumped into the race. Burke, a former cabinet member under Governor Jim Doyle, touts her private sector job experience working for Trek Bicycles. She faces a potential primary challenge from State Senator Kathleen Vinehout. Meanwhile, Walker, who released a new book last year, continues to be the subject of 2016 presidential buzz, but continues to poll only around 50%. A sign that some observers say could make him vulnerable. Further complicating the picture, jobs numbers that appear likely to fall short of Walker's promised 250,000 jobs in his first term, and a new super secret John Doe investigation that appears aimed only at conservatives and allies of the governor. Now, joining me on our panel this morning, blogger Alex Runner, former state representative Michelle Litjens, political strategist Lynne De Bruin, and political consultant Mary Jo Baas. Let's start with you, Mary Jo Baas. Is there going to be a Democratic primary for governor, and if so, who's going to win?
I believe they will. Kathleen Vinehout will get in. Mary Burke will win. I think she'll win decisively, but it breaks two ways for her. I think she'll get a little more press because of the back and forth with the debate, but I think that she will have to court the left while differentiating herself from Kathleen Vinehout, who is further left. So her biggest danger is not in appearing too conservative. She has to make sure that she is the candidate of the liberals.
Well, it wouldn't be an election without having Governor Walker on the ballot, since now this will be the third election since 2010. Any reason to think that this one will turn out differently than the last two?
I think so, and
okay.
As I've said before, I just think Mary Burke is a really strong candidate. I know a lot of
based on what?
Well, based on, I think, as you've said, on paper at least, she has all of the criteria. She's got the private sector background. I think she's moderate, and a lot of the far left people don't like her. There's one blogger, a far left blogger, who's saying she's a Chris Abele. We don't like these people who they say they're Democrats, but they don't always go along with the unions. I think that that's appealing actually to a lot of people in Wisconsin right now, that moderatism. And I think that she should be very strong. Vinehout, I think, is probably too far left, but I think people in Wisconsin want to see someone like Mary Burke.
Okay, what do you think?
Well, I think Vinehout is going to get in. Yep. They're going to make a fun primary to watch anyway, because she's going to require Mary Burke to answer questions that we want to know the answers to, which probably aren't going to make all of the Wisconsinites happy. I think something that's really important to pay attention to is, are we just going to have a normal governor's race, normal turnout between 46 and 48%, or is the DNC actually going to come into Wisconsin and play the state like a presidential year, where you can bump the turnout up to 78%, and then I think Scott Walker is going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Okay, what do you think?
Well, I do think that Vinehout might get in. The problem is she has about $20,000 in cash. So money is a massive differential. She has less name recognition, and while she is more liberal than Mary Burke, there's a part of a wing of the far left party that doesn't like her because of her stance on abortion rights and that type of thing. I'm trying to think of this bill that she voted for, the one that allows pharmacists to refuse to dispense birth control. So Emily List people, Planned Parenthood people, they do not like her. So just because she's far left doesn't mean she's going to get all of the far left.
I think it's a pretty much a foregone conclusion that Mary Burke is the designated, the anointed candidate here. And I guess where I would disagree with Alex on this is, yes, she looks good on paper, but this is not a campaign that's going to be running on paper. And as of now, she has shown a reluctance reluctance or an inability or an unwillingness to take positions on virtually any major issue. And I think that would suggest that she is not, at least at this moment, ready for prime time. Now, what does that mean? This is going to be a very, very tough race. It's going to be a very, very contentious race. Scott Walker is very, very much a known quantity. Now, you get to that question of, well, you can't break above 50% of the vote. But still, that's not a bad place going into an off-year election. You know, despite what you said about bumping up the turnout, this does not feel like it's going to be a presidential turnout year. This doesn't feel like it's going to be a Democratic year. I think one of the things that's going to work for Walker is the fact that his base will be mobilized. They will turn out. And I just don't think this is going to be a good year for the Democrats. I don't think that this is going to be one of those years where Democrats are going to feel anywhere near as energized as they did back in 2012. The people that turned out for Barack Obama in 2012 are not going to be the ones who are going to be turning out for Mary Burke in 2014. Okay, an open race for Attorney General, a little bit lower profile, but obviously, you know, given the number of cases that we've had that have been litigated, gone to the state Supreme Court, Attorney General is an important job. There's going to be a Democratic primary. Who's going to come out of that?
Oh, I think hands down will be John Richards.
Lefty state representative from Milwaukee.
Yeah, he's not as left as another declared candidate who is the Madison County DA.
Ismail Ozan.
Yeah, Ismail Ozan. Ozan is not as well known.
Yeah.
He did lead the fight against Walker's collective bargaining. It didn't succeed, but so he did get some name recognition and some union support from that. But Richards has been campaigning hard. He's lining up all the endorsements. You know, his negative is, it's also positive, is that as a legislator, he actually has a political record in taking positions on issues. And a lot of people who run for Attorney General and judgeships and that type of thing.
Okay, so the Republican nominee is going to be Schimmel from Brad Schimmel from Waukesha County. How do they match up in a general election?
I think if it's between Schimmel and Richards, it is too close to call.
Okay, what do you think, Mary Jo Baas?
I think definitely it will be John Richards of Milwaukee with a strong base beating Ozan, the Dane County DA, because he is seen as a partisan hack, untried. The problem with Richards, he's also seen as a partisan hack. Schimmel has experience. He has a broad base. The Republicans are all behind him and excited about him. I think he's going to win.
And I think in the long run, Schimmel's going to win because John Richards hasn't been in the courtroom. He's been elected for years, though. But Ozan is just a crazy.
Okay, Alex, run it very quickly.
Well, we said that the momentum has been with the Republicans. I just think the momentum's shifting back to the Democrats. John Richards is a really smart guy. Let's not forget, he's sided with moderate Dems like Playley in the past. I think he's going to win.
He also received the Wisconsin.
Okay, here's a pattern in Wisconsin politics that somebody with no law enforcement experience is going to be at a significant disadvantage in a race for Attorney General. In terms of law and order, who wants to be the top cop? Schimmel has a much stronger track record than a politician. I think that Schimmel is a very strong favorite in this race. Okay, who wins the Wisconsin legislature? Very, very quickly. Republicans control the Assembly and Senate or not?
I think Republicans will stay in control.
Anybody disagree?
Nope.
No, I don't think the Republicans pick up any seats in the Senate and probably just hold the Assembly. Next on Sunday Insight, Obamacare is here. Are you ready for it? Four years ago, Barack Obama was the embodiment of hope and change, but the last 5 years have been at times rough. Massive federal debt, an unpopular health care bill, huge losses in the 2010 elections, but a successful re-election that appeared to set the stage for an aggressive second term. Until last year, Obama's poll numbers stayed strong. Then 2013 happened. Scandals surrounding the NSA, the IRS, the Department of Justice, and more questions about the murder of 4 Americans in Benghazi. But even as the economy appeared to gain some traction, the bunch rollout of Obamacare was a public relations, policy, and political nightmare for the president. The administration reacted by handing out more exemptions, delays, and last-minute changes. But the law went into effect on January 1st, surrounded by doubts, questions, and confusion. So let's start there. In 2014, will Obamacare get better or worse, and will it be the issue that dominates the 2014 elections? Lynne De Bruin.
Well, it'll get better, but I still think it'll be a rocky road. There's a lot of the positive effects of Obamacare go into place in 2014, from the end of insurance companies cutting off benefits to an expansion of Medicare. 9 more million Americans are going to get insurance coverage. So some of the negatives that we've seen with Obamacare are going to be a bit neutralized by some of the positives. But in the end, I think, as always in most elections, it's not going to be Obamacare that settles the election. It's going to be the economy.
Okay, do you agree?
This Obamacare is the gift that just keeps on giving the Republicans when it comes to the 2014 election cycle. And I think the thing that's really going to hit us next year is that it does start to take effect. So people who think they can go see the doctor that they had, who've signed up for a new insurance plan, are going to go see their doctor in May, June, and July, and they can't see their doctor anymore because they're not covered under their plan. Not only Obamacare, but everything that happened that we started to look into last year with the NSA and Benghazi, that is going to continue to be talked about, and it will dog the Democrats through 2014.
Okay, Alex Runner.
It was actually Wednesday that the major provisions of the Affordable Care Act took effect. And so already people who were being discriminated against for pre-existing conditions are seeing the doctor.
Right.
People who had cancer treatments that weren't covered are now covered. And let me just say, for a little bit of perspective, when Bill Clinton was ending his second term, he had impeachment for perjury. When George W. Bush was ending his second term, he had implosion of the economy and Katrina and a war that was on false principles. President Obama is fine. I think that this website thing is not a big a deal as people.
It is because, and I got to say, you're totally missing the picture, because it is not the website that is the problem, and all of the promises that you keep making for Obamacare are not, in fact, playing out the way you are saying, because, in fact, people are now finding out that they are not signed up for the insurance they signed up for. People are finding out the sticker shock. I think that Obamacare is going to get substantially worse, because more and more Americans are going to find out that many of the promises that were made to them are being broken, including middle of 2014. Something's going to happen, and it's very predictable, I think. The insurance premium rates are going to spike because of the uncertainty, and people are going to go, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Then employers are going to start dropping the employer-sponsored policies, which means that suddenly now the pool of people who are negatively affected by Obamacare is going to expand exponentially. I think the Democrats are going to do everything possible to make this election about the minimum wage, unemployment rate. They're going to try to make it about the war on women and abortion, and I think they're going to fail. It's going to be about Obamacare. It's going to be like 2010. You mentioned a bad second term for President Bush. 2006 was a bad year. I think this is going to be a very bad year for the Democrats.
Well, I think you're right. For all the reasons you mentioned that Obamacare is a problem, it's going to keep getting worse. You know, we keep trying to get past the website, but the website is still a problem. We have all those other problems. And secretly, a lot of people who didn't vote for Obamacare really thought, well, at least I get cheap health care out of it. And even they are realizing it's not, there's nothing there for anybody. And it isn't just Obama. It's not just Obamacare. When you have Bill de Blasio coming out with nutcase ideas in New York, it's going to say the Democrats are unrepentant. This is what they believe.
But you're doing a lot of fear-mongering on this. The bottom line is 9 million Americans who've not had health insurance are going to have health insurance in 2014 just from the expansion of Medicare alone. I have friends who has a husband, he's self-employed, he's got diabetes, he can't get insurance.
Here's the bottom line.
He will have insurance. Another friend of mine had lifetime benefits from kidney disease.
Here's the problem.
That person's now going to be covered.
Those are great stories,
Those
but
folks are going to be happy with this.
Here are the numbers. That as of January 1st, more people lost their health insurance than got it signed up under Obamacare. This whole thing was designed to get people who are not insured. Now you have more people without insurance. And by the way, when people find out that it's also a lie that you get to keep your doctor if you want your doctor, when people lose their doctor, the emotional reaction will be far, far worse. Next on Sunday Insight, what unfinished business of 2013 will get finished in 2014? We ended 2013 with a host of issues that were unresolved, from the Kenosha Casino to a downtown Milwaukee streetcar. In Washington, pretty much nothing got fixed. A budget deal avoided another government shutdown, but no major budget, tax, or entitlement reform. So let's start with the proposed multi-million-dollar Kenosha Casino. Now, we thought we'd get a quick decision last year, but Governor Scott Walker's pushed the decision into 2014. So, Michelle Litjens, what will he decide? When will he decide, and what will his decision be?
I think there is a lot to finish discussing, actually, before a decision comes out. I would have liked to have seen a decision already. I kind of thought we were moving along that path last year. But now that we know that because of the compact that Jim Doyle signed with the tribes, if any of the tribes lose any revenue from gambling, if a new casino is built, the state taxpayers have to foot that bill. So right now they're trying to see if the Menominee tribe is saying that they can cover their losses, but if they can't, the taxpayers have to pay it. So I think there is going to be many, many, many months spent digging into those numbers to make sure that
when will he make the decision, and what will the decision be?
my crystal ball's not working. Hopefully before the election.
Okay, what do you think? He's going to make it before the election or after the
I
election?
think he'd love to make it after the election,
Yeah.
but I don't think the public and the tribes will allow it to wait that long. So I think every day that goes by when he hasn't made a decision favors the Menominee, because the Potawatomi and the Oneida wanted a decision 6 months ago. So I think at this point the pendulum's swinging more toward him approving the casino.
Okay, before the election or after the election, what will the decision be?
I think it'll be before the decision if he can. I think he's inclined to say no, but he can't be so cavalier as to say no to the jobs in areas that are hurting. So he's doing everything he can to find a way.
Okay, Alex Runner.
I think he was very clear in saying no. I think
Yeah.
he's moving toward yes. I think it's going to be yes. I think he's going to wait as long as he can, but it'll still be before the election.
I think it's going to be, if I had to put my money down on it, I would say after the election right now. If it's before the election, he will approve it, because that's where the upside of the vote is. Okay, the downtown streetcar, what will happen in 2014 with Tom Barrett's downtown trolley?
Yeah, I hope it goes forward.
I didn't ask whether you hoped, I asked you whether you predicted.
I think, yeah, I think they're already. I think Ghassan Korban, the Public Works Commissioner, has already said that they're laying the groundwork. I think it's going to happen.
Okay, do you think it's going to happen?
I don't. Milwaukee can't afford it. They need to focus their money and their time where it's going to make a difference with their crime rate and their education
We
system
can't
right
afford.
now.
We have a federal grant.
Okay.
For it.
I think it all depends on when the harder numbers come out about the actual local costs.
Right.
Right now, for capital, it's just under 10 million. If that shoots up to 20, 30 million, and then you have annual operating costs on top of it, that could kill it.
I think it's already dead. The problem now is trying out how to save face. It's gone.
How's it dead?
Yeah, why do you
I
say
don't
it's
think
dead?
it's dead.
Because they don't have the
utility
money.
relocation costs?
The utility relocation costs, the maintenance, the ridership numbers would not support. It doesn't support the cost.
The ridership numbers are
don't-
good, and AT&T, one of the utilities, already worked out
ridership
their
numbers
numbers.
are
Unlike
not
light rail,
they're not
unlike light
existent.
rail,
The bus
it's much
lines-
better
Yeah.
than this is the most
Yeah.
viable proposal if you believe in mass transit that we've seen. The bottom, I mean, I opposed light rail because the numbers
Yeah.
didn't jive. This one's a much closer call.
Okay, but here's the deal. 3 words, okay? Winter in Milwaukee. I mean, don't take my word for it. Go out on the streets. Look what happens when you have ice and snow. Ice and snow. Imagine you have this fixed rail, train working, getting stuck in the ice and snow. This is not Portland, Oregon. It is not San Diego. It is a problem. Okay, minimum wage. Are we going to see an increase in the minimum wage nationally and locally, Lynne De Bruin?
Yes.
How much?
Nationally, I think it's going to be a modest one. Locally, I think the answer is no.
Okay, minimum wage. Will we see an increase nationally or locally?
Nationally, I agree with Lynn. A modest increase. Locally, no.
Okay, the Republicans in the House will go along with an increase in the minimum wage. I mean,
I
how are
think
they
they'll
going to?
negotiate it. I think they'll negotiate something reasonable, something small.
Okay, what would be small? But we're not talking about $10 an hour, $15 an hour.
No, I'm talking under $1.
Okay, what do you think?
Well, I think it should. I think we all sort of know that it should have kept up with inflation, but I don't think that locally it's a good idea to make Milwaukee an island, Milwaukee County. I think that's a bad idea.
But they will pass that,
I
won't
think
they?
they will.
I hope they don't, honestly, because I think it is going to push jobs out of Milwaukee County.
Well, there's a concept, raise minimum wage, push jobs away. But yes, I do think it's going to be raised in Milwaukee County, but I don't think it's going to be raised. I don't think the Republicans in Congress are going to pass that.
I don't think there's going to be any appetite to pass that. Now, next on Sunday Inside, our panel picks the winners and losers of the week. Actually, we're going to predict the surprise of the year. But first, here's your morning news update. In 2011, nobody really saw the Capitol chaos coming. In 2012, it was hard to predict the outcome of the recall election or the president's re-election campaign. 2013 saw the bizarre meltdown of the government's Obamacare website. So let's really put the panel to the test. Pick one genuine surprise that we will see in 2014. Alex Runner.
Well, I don't want to make your heads explode over there, but the Doyle years are looking pretty good. We're ranked 37th in the country. I think Jim Doyle is going to come out of retirement, and well, he's not really in retirement. He's going to come back into public office, and I think he's going to win whatever he's going to run for.
You think
gonna
that
set the
Jim
stage,
Doyle
yeah.
is going to run for public office in
Yeah.
Wisconsin in 2014?
Well, I
and
think
will
he'll
be-
at least put the groundwork in place. I think we need Jim Doyle. I think all the companies that came back to Wisconsin, Inja Team,
Wow.
this great green economy, I
Wow.
think he's going to do great. We need him.
Okay, so Alex Runner goes for Tales of the Political Crypt. What would you say? What is your surprise?
There's-
That would be a genuine surprise, by the way.
There's so many.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go with that the feds are going to bail out the insurance companies, health insurance companies next year. And they're going to do it in an election year, but they're not going to have a choice because not enough new people are signing up, not enough new healthy people are signing up for the exchanges, and the insurance companies aren't going to be able to pay the doctors for the services.
Okay, one genuine surprise.
Well,
you got to top Alex Runner because he's up there right now.
I don't think I can top this. I think that even though she's not mentioned a word about this, I think Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg will retire in 2014. She's turning 81. She's had 2 serious bouts of cancer, and I think when she leaves, she wants her spot. She wants to leave when there's a Democratic president and a Democratic Senate. The one surprise that would absolutely floor me, which I don't think will happen, but if it did, would be an even bigger one. Is if Hillary Clinton announces in 2014 that she's not running for president.
Don't count on that. Mary Jo Baas.
My prediction is that in 2014, consumers take back their computers. I mean, activists and privacy activists have been saying for years, you've got to watch out for your computer. Nothing is free. Facebook's free, Google's not free. People are starting to put together all the scandals and all the costs associated with giving up their personal information. They're going to get back to things like Start Page, DuckDuckGo, pretty good privacy.
My surprise will be that Aaron Rodgers will be injured early in the season, and as the backup quarterback, they will bring in Jim Doyle, who will no. Okay, well that's about the equivalent. My surprise of the year is that Dodd-Frank will turn out to be for the world of finance what Obamacare is for the world of healthcare. Thanks for joining us. Join me for my radio show Monday morning on News Radio 620 WTMJ from 8:30 until noon. Have a great week.